straight from the realm of all things gaming. Everything Noob starts now.
Episode 117, the Everything Noob podcast. I am Vortak. I make YouTube videos sometimes. And joining me this evening, Ms. Jemmy.
I do the arts!
Jemmy does the arts. And Mr. Dreadlow.
How's it going there?
I'm
streaming still.
We do a podcast every week, and we pick a theme for that podcast. And this week's theme, a little bit old news now, but we haven't gotten to talk about it, so it's new to us. The YouTube deal that Nintendo has struck with us YouTubers who make videos on video games, as well as a couple other Nintendo-related themes. Welcome to the Nintendo podcast this evening is basically what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to kick things off. Let's get going on it because I have been dwelling on these facts all week long as someone who makes videos on YouTube. I'm not exactly excited because Nintendo's new policy is that if you make videos on YouTube and you want to make money from Nintendo videos, you can now do that. But real quick, before we get Jemmy and Dreadlow in on this, I'm going to give everyone a lesson here in YouTube revenue because maybe not everyone's familiar. So people make videos on games like I do. They get to make money off of those by getting ads played on their video. So we get a cut as YouTubers of that ad revenue. The game developer doesn't pay for that. And in exchange, the game developer gets basically free advertising for their game. So let's say you're PewDiePie and you have 34, 36 million subscribers. That's potential audience for all of your, all of your game to be seen by. That didn't come out right, but you know what I mean. Your game is going to be seen by potentially 30-something million people. So you want PewDiePie to pick up your game, and you don't give a crap if he earns ad revenue off of it. That's the general consensus, and that's how most game developers now feel. But Nintendo has always barred off from that. They have always said, no, you shouldn't make money off of our product. That's not fair. And now they're finally starting to try and make this work. So they said they were going to do it. We talked about it, I think, a while ago. And the new deal is that Nintendo is going to take a cut of what you make from the video. So that is the story. Sorry for blabbing on forever, guys. I just wanted to get that out there.
So you're paying them to let you advertise for them? Essentially.
If you want to put it that way, that's the worst way to put it, but yes.
That's what it is, though. I mean, I understand they need to cut costs, and they're in that business phase where they kind of have to change their deal. And it seems like, because Microsoft kind of changed their stuff, and they're like, okay, now you can make videos. And it seems like a lot of companies are realizing this is a good thing. It's cheaper, easier advertising. They don't have to handshake and make deals with game review magazines and stuff like that. But that's kind of shady.
It is.
Because before it was like, you can only do it like if we totally approve of it, which you got to be like 100% family PC.
Well, the thing is, they would give people who had a lot of clout a Nintendo game, and they would pay that person to say things about the game, whether, review the game, basically. And all developers do that, and Nintendo was one of them as well. And they're still going to do that. But now for the rest of creators who aren't maybe big enough, like, this is really going to hurt small channels that rely on Nintendo games. Essentially, which I don't think there really are any because you haven't been able to make money with Nintendo games up till now. So,
and I think that's probably why they lost a lot, because I mean there was before the YouTubes started messing with copyrights and all that stuff. Before they really got into that, there were actually dedicated YouTube channels that were specifically for Nintendo, right? And they would make all these different videos about Nintendo games. And then we got the little copyright strikes, and I think a lot of those people just kind of faded away. And a lot of people just aren't doing it, or they're turning their AdSense completely off, which for some of those dedicated channels doesn't really make sense. So they probably have moved on to, either making videos of other games or other consoles. And so I think Nintendo sees that, and I think they finally say, okay, all right, we'll let you do it if we get a portion of the AdSense, rather than taking it all, because that's basically what they do. They'd strike your account, and then they would take all your revenue from that video.
Yes.
Is how YouTube works, right?
Yeah.
So they're saying we'll offer a compromise. We'll let you have some of it, and then we get a piece of the pie as well. But what they, and I think they're doing this because of that.
Yeah.
Because people aren't doing videos anymore because they're not making any money off of it, so they don't care.
Nintendo still wants the free advertising, but now they feel like they're also entitled to the ad revenue from that advertising. And I mean, it's important to note that they can absolutely, they're within their legal right to do this. But ethically speaking, I especially because of all the other game developers allowing it the other way around, I think it's absolutely stupid. I want to get into some numbers real quick before we go any further, because there are actual percentages here. So it says individuals can earn 60% of advertising proceeds, and registered channels earn a little bit more, about 70%. I don't know what a registered channel versus an individual channel is. I don't know if anyone can clarify that for me.
Maybe that's you've passed the Nintendo like seal of approval essentially.
Okay.
And it's like we find you wholesome and within the Nintendo family of PC, so
That's
you
kinda-
are an official, Nintendo representative or third party representative
Yeah.
as opposed to just somebody who is not affiliated.
That's what I was thinking it might be too. If anyone else knows if that's correct, then great. But if anyone wants to fact check us, feel free to tweet us at Everything Noob on Twitter. So let's just say for
Basically,
all
it's like
purposes,
being a part of it's like being a part of like the Nintendo network.
Yeah, that's what they're calling it, the Nintendo Creators Program. So let's say for all intensive purposes, Nintendo is going to give you 60% of the advertising proceeds and take 40% for themselves. But this is only after YouTube takes their initial cut. And a YouTube cut, I don't know what it is, and if I did, I'm really not supposed to say. YouTube doesn't like those numbers kind of getting out there. Let's just say I've seen other people use the 40-60 split. So I think that's safe. Other people on YouTube have said it's 40-60 or around there. So YouTube takes 40, you get 60. The creator usually gets more in that case. So YouTube is still getting their 40%, regardless of what happens. Nintendo gets to take, 40% of the 60% that you got. I'm confusing myself with numbers, but Nintendo gets to take a portion of what you get, not what the whole video is worth, if that makes sense.
Right. So you're getting even less.
Yes, you're the only one losing money here, not YouTube. So YouTube doesn't give a crap either way. And that's where people are getting hung up. They're a little bit pissed off. But the thing that's really scaring people, and the other thing we're going to talk about tonight, is the Nintendo Creators Program says that this rate may be changed arbitrarily. For no reason at all, Nintendo can just swoop in and go, hey, by the way, you know how you were getting...
We're taking 90%.
It's a 90-10.
Yeah.
90-yes.
Exactly. So that's what's scary about it. And it's really, for me, going to alienate me. If I ever get the opportunity to record a Wii game, let's say, like if I get all the equipment, I'm not going to do it. Or maybe I'll do it, but I'm not going to monetize it for anyone. I'm not going to let ads run. I get that choice. YouTube, I don't think, anyway, that YouTube can put ads in a video if I say no ads.
Yeah.
Therefore, none of us get money. And I think a lot of creators will go that route.
Yeah.
Or they'll just not do Nintendo, period.
Or they'll just boycott Nintendo altogether so that Nintendo doesn't get the airplay.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of this,
exposure.
If you've been keeping up with the news on it, I'm sure you've heard a lot of people say, for me, I generally play indie games, and a part of that is because the indie developer is very appreciative of what a YouTuber can do for them, and it's always a win-win. I get to play a game that maybe I'm bringing to new people, it brings new people to my channel, and in exchange, they get to sell more games because people like me are playing them. So
right.
With Nintendo, here's another analogy I came up with. I mean, not really an analogy, but like a comparison. If I'm Nintendo and I have a new Zelda game, I need to go out and make an ad so people know it exists and I can sell some of them, right? I'm going to pay money for that ad. I'm not going to get money for people seeing the ad with my Zelda game in it. I'm only going to get the money when people buy the game. But in this case, Nintendo thinks, not only do we get the ads made for free, but now we get to make money off of them. Is kind of how I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of sad because people, I I've mentioned this before in the past. I go to YouTube to see what a game is like before I buy it. And if there's no Nintendo videos out there, and say like you got one that's specific, what what if a registered Nintendo, whatever this is called, the community, uh, does videos and he sees a game that he just doesn't like and he does a bad review on it. I mean, what's Nintendo going to do? They're going to say, you can't have that
You want to
video.
know? Because that's part of it. Nintendo.
Oh, is it?
Nintendo says there's an approval process, and it could take 2 to 3 days for your video to be approved to make money before you publish it. Meaning,
Wow.
they're pretty much going to hire probably a small team of people to watch every video that comes through and make sure that you don't say anything that they don't like. Maybe it needs to be family friendly. Maybe it needs to be positive. And then they get to decide whether or not you get a cut of that money.
So there you go. That's
At
something
least
that
kind of
Total
a gross
Biscuit,
feeling.
something that Total Biscuit had gone through himself with actually an indie dev, believe it or not,
Oh, wow.
with a game. And it was a while ago, and same thing happened to him. He put out a bad review, though he got an email with a Steam key and everything for the game to do a review on. Once he did the review, it was a bad review because obviously he didn't like the game. He thought it sucked. And because of that, they copyright striked him, saying we didn't give him permission to do this. He fought it and won, obviously. The guy's freaking got millions and millions of subscribers. He probably has his own lawyers.
He probably
and stuff,
had
too.
the emails like, here's your Steam key if you could do a review of it and this, that, and the other. And it's like, here it is. Here's their website with their email address, which is the same email address that this came from, and, so on and so forth. It's like, I have permission. They're just not happy that I didn't say what they wanted me to say.
If something can happen where the problem is this stuff always gets resolved outside of court. Mm-hmm. And so there's no actual laws that state this, this, and this, because it's very shady. I mean, seriously, you're playing a video game that's the content is constantly changing and nobody can duplicate the same thing. So it's really you're using somebody else's how do you put it? You're using somebody else's system or whatever to make a video that you make yourself. You put yourself out there. You do whatever you do with it, which is completely. It's kind of like doing a review or doing a tutorial for Microsoft Office or something. It's always going to be something different. You're not selling the product, you're selling your idea or what you're doing in the product, with the product or whatever. So there really is no real laws or anything saying what's right and what's wrong until somebody actually takes this to court. And that's the problem. It keeps getting resolved outside of court. And I wish somebody would actually take it to court and we can make a law so that nobody can do this, so that there's no in-betweens, there's no gray area, there's a law now,
It's hard because YouTube is a company, and if you can say free speech all you want, but that doesn't apply when a company tells you what you can and can't say. In this case, copyright strikes say you can't, do a certain thing that maybe free speech otherwise would allow. But they're YouTube, they can do that. It's their company. If they don't want you, just like if I have a forum and I don't want some kid cussing in my forum, he can say, well, free speech all he wants, but it's my forum, and I told you not to cuss. You can't come into my house and do something I told you not to do. So,
I agree with that, but
I don't see anything like that going to court, really. The whole copyright thing is so YouTube can protect their own ass. And I think what happens with the copyright strikes, just to be safe, is that if a video gets enough of them, it gets pulled, or if a video gets a big enough one, it gets pulled, and then it gets reviewed. It's not the other way around. It's shoot first, ask questions later. And that way, at least it can be investigated off, without the video still being public, so they can make sure that the copyright strike is legit. So, I mean, in my opinion, I think the copyright strikes are a little bit too easy to dish out.
Well, a lot of times you don't even have to prove anything. You just have to say, I own it, and then they'll just pull it. And you don't have to even prove that you are who you say you are. So, because I remember there's been a couple of times where people have masqueraded around as supposedly as representing like Sony and this, that, and the other, just getting stuff pulled. And Sony has come out and says, we didn't do any of this. Like, nobody in our department or anybody we've hired has actually put out these copyright strikes. This is unaffiliated with us.
Yeah. I mean, in that case, that sucks. But I think copyright strikes are necessary to protect, creators in general, but they are abused all the time. So I can see why Dreadlow's saying it should go to court, because the abuse of them is the problem.
Well, think about it this way. Let's like really bring this down to earth. Let's say you make a video, and it's just you and a camera, and you happen to use a car. Say, like you use a Toyota Celica or something, and you're driving down the street with the car, and you're showing this in your camera. Now, what's to stop Toyota from suing you for using their product in your video?
You cussed in our car.
Or yeah, I mean, it's like it gets to that level, and it's like we need to like establish some kind of law that says, okay, if you're using a content, or if you're using a system or whatever to create video content, but the video content is not actually because the whole copyright thing is like, if I was to give a game or sell a game and for download, people can buy it off my website, that's illegal, because now you're giving them the exact content that was created by the developer. However, if you're in the game and you're playing the game, you're not actually selling the game. You're just you're selling yourself. You're selling you playing the game. It's just like, you're selling yourself driving down the street with a Toyota Celica.
Yeah.
You're not actually selling the Toyota Celica. So why should, you got ads, it's
difficult.
It's a stretch. I mean,
The
I can
problem
understand
is
straight up advertisement. Like, if I was to take a Coca-Cola can and put it in front of the camera, that's not right. You can't do that. But it's just crazy.
We're talking about the difference between holding a can of Coke and then slandering that can of Coke.
Yeah,
that's kind of what it comes down to. And companies are really touchy. If it just depends. What were you going to say, Jemmy?
Well, like, why it hasn't gone to court is because the way, at least the U.S. legal system is it's set up to protect businesses and big businesses. And so when they say you're infringing on them, most people like you and I, just normal schmucks, if we don't have like a big business behind us or somebody willing to sponsor us, you're just going to fold up shop. You can't afford it. You can't afford the litigation. Nothing. It's just, you might as well just stop it, or at least, and if they're willing to be nice and be like, look, all you have to do is just take the video down. We don't want any money. We just want it down. Like, that is way better than spending maybe up to $1 million.
Yeah.
But see, if they had a law in place, then Nintendo couldn't pull this crap. Period.
But somebody has to be willing to fund that first court case.
YouTube would have legal action to take against Nintendo for taking down videos that are playing their content if we had a law, see?
It's hard, because Nintendo owns the name
Owns
Mario.
What do they own?
They have that. They can say, well, it's just, I think it just really comes down to defining what is slander and what is someone being critical of a game. And you got to walk that line. Like, if you can't just lie about the game, you can't say Mario is a pedophile, because they're like, our character isn't a pedophile. That might be grounds for a copyright strike. But if you look at it and go, Mario seems to be acting like a pedophile. I'm sorry, that's a terrible example, but you get what I mean. Like, that's my opinion of Mario. That's not me stating it as a fact. So
yeah, and
it's really, that would be what the argument kind of comes down to when it comes to copyright strikes and stuff. But I think, just back to the subject in general, Nintendo just shouldn't even have this program. They should be like every other game developer. Just like, sure, make videos on our content. I think the real problem is Nintendo needs to drop their idea that their content needs to be always family friendly, whether it's me making a video about it or them making the game itself. they need to just drop it. Like, you have fans that are in their 30s and 40s now who grew up playing your games. So, you know, you now appeal to a wider audience.
The thing is that they're crying about losing money here and losing money there, or their budget's not where it's supposed to be. This is the reason. Let us do content to help you advertise your game, to get your game out there so people will know about it. I mean, you know, I don't have a Nintendo system, but you know, some of these games, if I was to, you know, actually see them in action, I would go, I need to get a Nintendo because these are cool games, you know, and I can't because, you know, either the people that are doing the Nintendo videos they use very bad quality to do them, so I can't tell anyway. I don't know if it's, you know, this is a video from the 80s and they just decided to put it out, or, you know what I mean? It's like, let us do something so that we can help you, you know? And then let us put ads on there because we put a lot of hard work involved. We edit the video. We do a lot of things to get that content out there. There's no reason why, you know, us making a little bit of money off the ads is going to cause any issues with you. If not, it's going to help you, you know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
What's up, Jimmy?
Well, I mean, that is true, and I agree. But the problem is, their business department, their legal department, is whispering in their ear because they're not in touch with the modern youth and younger generation that this all affects their mentality. And the way they see it is, if they can just watch the whole game, why would they want to buy it? And for most of us, it's like, I know a lot of people, they don't watch a game until after they've purchased it. Like, they won't watch a full playthrough. They may watch like a snippet of somebody or their favorite, like they'll watch the introduction or whatever. And if they like what they saw, that's where they stop. They go buy the game, they play through the game, then they come back and watch their favorite YouTuber finish.
Yeah.
I've done that with the have you seen that new game? No. Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I bought that, but I wanted to see what it was like, so I went on YouTube, watched a little bit of it, and it was a story-driven thing, so I didn't want to see the rest. So I said, forget it. So I went ahead and paid the $9.99 or $4.99 for it. Well, how much was it? I don't know. Anyway, and I went through the whole thing. It's a great game, but I wouldn't have bought it if if that video wasn't available to me.
Well, exactly, and that's the example of the real world, and they're kind of out of touch of what the real world does, and they're kind of stuck in this like, oh, it's almost piracy, and we're losing sales because for some reason people won't buy our product. This is available.
Yeah, I'm.
They want you to watch their trailers, which really suck because they have no gameplay.
Oh my god, modern trailers for movies and games just drive me crazy.
Yeah.
I don't even watch them anymore because they're just worthless.
It's stupid. I mean, it doesn't show me gameplay. And I saw this really nice, dramatic, cinematic thing showing this game, and it's beautiful, and it's all 3 dimensions and beautiful. And then you actually look at gameplay footage of the game, and it's like... 2D, it's flat, it's, it doesn't look anything like the trailer. And, start making trailers with gameplay footage, man.
If you want to innovate.
Some really pretty games do.
The ones that feel like the game lives up to anything they can create in a trailer, which is out there. Yeah. I mean, Skyrim, great example. I didn't see the trailer for Skyrim now that I remember, but it's pretty enough to where you could make a gameplay trailer, and I wouldn't, I wouldn't bat an eyelash. Like,
their trailer looks like the game. Yeah, I mean,
I don't remember their trailer if I even watched it. But another example in chat, Kyrick says, Vortec has already sold 2 games to me. Sold 2 games by me buying alone: Rising World and Stranded Deep. There you go. Those are 2 games I'm playing on my channel. Both, I think, about $15. I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head, but let's just say for all intents and purposes, both of those games are $15 a piece. So in just that one person watching something I did, I made someone some money, Yeah. And in return, their one view might have gotten me, who knows, a few cents, if that. Like, one individual view never means like a whole bunch of money. You know, it's a collective thing. Like I'm just saying, with all the money I've made off of a Rising World video, I don't know if I could still buy a copy of Rising World with just that money alone.
In fact, they owe you money. No, it's kidding.
See, and I could just as easily be the dickhead to try to do that, to try to start that movement of like, hey, game developers should pay us, and people are trying that. But,
Yeah.
You know, you really got to have a lot of pull to get there. But you know, I don't do it because I want to make a whole bunch of money. I do it because I have a lot of fun playing these games. If I get to the potential to make a living off of that one day, that's fantastic. Then I get to keep doing what I love and also feeding myself, which is, you know, the dream for a lot of people. But ultimately,
Yeah,
I
we
just
all
don't.
wanna eat.
If I choose to do these videos as a hobby, great. But if I choose to go another route and try to monetize them, I don't want to go through all this red tape. Even if I thought the YouTube deal they were offering was fantastic and they were the first developer to ever let you make any money at all, like, it would still be frustrating to go through all this red tape and wait for some asshole to watch my video and decide if it's family friendly. That's what we're assuming.
Yeah.
They haven't said that specifically, but everyone's predicting that that's why they want to review the video, is they want to make sure it's not going to slander them and it's family friendly.
Well, yeah, that's Nintendo's MO. That's what they've done like ever since the dawn of Nintendo.
So any Nintendo videos you see out there are all going to be just straight positive videos. So you're not going to get any good, real, true reviews off of it.
Yeah. And that's the other scary part. I've been watching a few other YouTubers talk about this issue, and that's their biggest fear, is that this is going to hurt gaming reviews of Nintendo games. And a lot of these YouTubers will tell you the same thing. Don't buy a game until you watch some of your favorites play it, so you don't waste your money on something you don't end up liking. And that's going to be pretty tough to do with Nintendo watching over us like a hawk. So now
However,
only YouTubers who can afford to take any kind of loss, any cut in revenue, are going to be the honest ones.
well, this is what you do. You know, you don't put videos out there for Nintendo unless they're bad, and just don't AdSense them. Don't add any ads or nothing like that. Just put the bad reviews out there, because that's probably going to wake up Nintendo a little bit, and they're going to see that their whole system's flawed.
I think we should continue
You know?
doing negative reviews when they're, you know, supposed to be negative.
That's what I'm saying,
You know,
and
like,
just don't put any of the ads on. Don't make any money off of it, and they can't flag you.
Yeah, like I want
What are they gonna
what
do?
I
I'm not
really
making nothing.
want is, because I know PewDiePie came out and he made a whole statement about it, which was great, because anything he does now and says kind of becomes like a media spectacle if he kind of goes outside the bounds of just making his videos and talking about a topic
Yeah.
like this. As soon as he posted it, I don't really follow him, but I already knew about it because every news outlet picked it up and said, look what PewDiePie said about it. And he said that this was an awful deal that's going to further divide creators and developers, and it's terrible, blah, 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 and he went on and on about it. And I think that's great, but really what's going to make a statement is if PewDiePie does a Nintendo game and reviews it, and maybe he talks it up. He says, this is the best game I've ever played. You should all go out and buy it. Spend your money on this because you won't regret it. And a lot of people end up buying it. Nintendo makes money off that game, but they get to look at that video, get millions and millions and millions of hits, and that's money they could have had that they don't get now. But PewDiePie didn't get it either. He just said, nah, I'm not going to monetize this one. And it just...
Yeah,
like,
that's the attitude that people need to have. Is if I'm not going to get that much, if I'm not going to, they're not going to make it anything either.
Nintendo still wins in that
won't-
scenario because they sell a bunch of games, and that's what I want them to see.
Oh,
You know,
I see what you mean.
I want Nintendo to see that they can still make money even if ads aren't played and no one makes money in theory. When you look at it, wow, PewDiePie didn't run ads on this video. That means Nintendo and PewDiePie both lose, you know, potential dollars. No, it means Nintendo gets to sell a bunch of copies of a game and PewDiePie took the hit, but to make a point. This is all hypothetical.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You know,
yeah.
it's just,
Yeah, but that's true.
you know,
You're right. And in the end, Nintendo wins again
yeah.
because they get all those sales from a review that they didn't have to pay for
And they have the seal of approval.
from PewDiePie.
Yeah, it'd be even funnier if he went through the review process for them and they approved his video and then he took off the monetization and just to show, like, look, Nintendo, what are you so afraid of? You make fantastic games, and I mean it when I say this. Nintendo does make fantastic games. They're hardly ever broken on release, like a lot of games have been lately. And there's nothing bad a lot of like Nintendo fans are going to say about your game. For every bad review, there's probably going to be 10 more good ones. So what are they so afraid of?
I don't know, because a lot of times if I see a bad review on a Nintendo game, it's not because the game's actually bad, it's just because it doesn't match the reviewer's like personal taste in game.
Exactly. And if you're a good reviewer, you'll disclose that. Like, personally, I play MMOs, but you guys really wanted to see me play Super Mario Galaxy whatever, or whatever it's called, Mario Galaxy 3. It's not out, so there you go. There's no such thing as Mario Galaxy 3, so that's my example. It's just like, if as long as they specify that, then there's no harm. Like, okay, well, he doesn't really like Mario Galaxy 3, but I liked what I saw.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is if you're a good reviewer, you'll specify that, and Nintendo really has nothing to worry about. They have a good product.
Yeah, they really do. I mean, I've never really seen, other than, well, I really haven't even seen anything. Well, I haven't seen anything at all because nobody does any YouTube videos, but you know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah, Nintendo.
They do. They have a good enough product where you're not going to get the bad reviews that you would get, say, on some games
really
out there on Steam.
Trashy indie game that's not anywhere near ready.
Yeah, but then you got to just watch. You just got to wait, because if they are early access on Steam, there's a reason why it's not that good. So
it's
better
tough
in time.
Because there's the line we are facing here with early access indie games versus AAA titles. There's such a separation in the two. It's almost like a whole subgenre of like, or not even subgenre, like a macro genre of here's AAA, here's indie. Indie games have a whole bunch of coverage, and indie developers love it. AAA developers not so much. some love it, some hate it.
Well, because they're paying like tons and tons of money for like very carefully crafted ads to advertise to you, where they're really highlighting their only good bits. And they want people who even wouldn't normally buy the game, it's not their cup of tea, to be fooled into buying the game. They could care less, really, if you like the game after you buy it. But the way the shift is of people watching YouTube videos and stuff, you kind of have a lot of preview on the game and a lot of everything. And so it's not carefully crafted to make you impulse buy the game. And then it matters if you like the game before you see their ads and everything like that.
I say, in a world where a rich AAA game developer can spend money hand over fist just to make sure their game looks good on paper, we need honest people reviewing them on YouTube. We need PewDiePie's and, Captain Sparkles and Total Biscuits to make sure that these games get like proper reviews and people.
How about we just stop wasting all that money on senseless advertising and turn that back around and into development to just polish it?
That's exactly what one of the people I watched said. That Boogie something. You guys probably have heard of him. He's pretty big out there too. He said the same thing. If they just took all that money and all that resource and funneled it back into the actual development of the game, they wouldn't have anything to worry about.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's true.
I think at the time he was talking more about the pre-order thing that's going on right now, where if you pre-order a game, you get the content that should have been there in the first place, kind of thing. But that's a whole nother discussion for a whole nother show.
I mean, there's a lot of practices where it's like, if you just wouldn't do this and you just funnel the game, the stuff right back into the development, you wouldn't have to worry about this. You wouldn't have to spend all this money advertising and pushing in, because there is advertising for any kind of promo they do too.
Yeah. It just
it's senseless.
The thing about the pre-order thing, just bringing this back to Nintendo, is I don't recall them really doing that with their games. Can you guys?
No.
Pre-order now and get content that should have been in the game?
No. I mean, there was that Pokemon double box, but I don't think there was a pre-order thing. It was so much if you buy them coupled together.
You know, spend some more money and get something other people don't get, exclusive things. I mean, that just goes to show that Nintendo is still a good AAA company. And I just wish that this wasn't a thing. I wish they weren't so hard on, you know, content creators who just love their games and want to share them with their viewers.
I'm with you on that. Like we're talking about, I was talking smack about them not making any money because they don't allow us to put their content on videos or to help them in any way. At the same time, you know, because of the kind of company they are, I wish, because they are good, I wish they would allow this. I wish they would, because they are a good company and they do put out good stuff. I mean, I've never heard of anything bad about whatever they've put out. So it's just sad because you know, they're making me want to hate them.
It's
not hate them, but you know, I just dislike their practices. Let's put it that way. You know,
that's the big problem too. Is you want us on your side. Like, you're only going to upset.
Yeah. One Nintendo would be. I mean, they're the only legitimate, real, you know.
PewDiePie is like the Oprah of gaming. You don't want to upset him. Yeah. Right?
No, don't want to upset PewDiePie.
Sorry, Jimmy. I think Jimmy
PewDiePie.
No, I'm just now thinking about that Carmen Bra.
Oh, Carmen Bra. Yeah.
And the end has PewDiePie.
PewDiePie can sit on a couch and just look at the camera and he'd get millions of views.
And he's done it.
He doesn't have to do anything. Yeah.
So another thing that Nintendo's doing, though, let's just transition here real quick. Another thing that's happening, a little bit different. I don't know how I feel about this one. They're closing out Club Nintendo, which is, if you don't know what that is, it's basically like a rewards club for buying Nintendo games. More recent games since I think the 3DS and the Wii U come with a code, and you enter it in on their website. I think it's been around even longer than that, maybe even the Wii generation.
I think it's been around really since the start of Nintendo. It's just gone through a lot of transformations and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you used to be able to get, like, from Nintendo Power Magazine, you get these codes. Yeah.
So basically, it's a rewards program where instead of points, you get coins, and you can spend those coins on game downloads or maybe even some physical objects. And it's, I guess, is costing them money because they're shutting it down. So this is actually the last month that they're going to update the rewards, and they have this giant list of things you can get, which all, like, this is like the first time I've actually looked at it and gone, damn, I wish I had more coins. But you get, if I remember it correctly, you get until, I think, March to register your codes, and then June or July to spend the coins. So you still have some time to get out there and do that, but I'm kind of sad they're shutting it down. I think rewards programs like that are really working, and an example that came to mind was PlayStation Plus, how they give you 2 free games every month. As long as you stay a PlayStation Plus subscriber, you can play them.
Yeah, but that doesn't really cost PlayStation Plus too much because they already have the store there and people can already buy that game. Whereas Club Nintendo is not exactly a shop front where it's like, oh, well, if you're part of Club Nintendo, you can get like discounts and coupons on these products, or you can just buy them flat out.
Could this be like the start of maybe some kind of a premium service through Nintendo?
That, you know, I don't think that's out of the question for them.
Yeah,
that wouldn't be
because they get rid of the rewards and then they start another program and then you'll be able to get those anyway.
Everyone else is doing it, and I think that would be a better way for them to go than all these weird creative ways they're using to try to make money, like screwing YouTubers.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
That might be what they're working on.
I'm not angry at them for closing it. I understand you gotta watch your bottom line, and Nintendo's bottom line has been questionable for a while. But it was just kind of sad because I was starting to get into the Club Nintendo thing. I was just waiting for a good reward, but the rewards are getting less and less good, if you will. One thing that pissed me off about it is that the game downloads were old games that I hadn't really heard of. And the thing that really gets me is like, oh, we're losing money off of it. but you're putting up classic games that already made money. Like, right?
Yeah.
So what harm is it to them to give me a digital download of a game that already had its heyday? And maybe you're just trying to kind of re-push a classic.
It's probably not the digital download that's losing the money. It's the physical thing, like the stickers and the pencil boxes and the tote bags and stuff that they're shipping out for free and giving to you for free for essentially already buying their product. So that is probably what is causing them to lose a lot of money, because international shipping is actually very expensive.
I just think that people would rather have a Creeper doll than a Mario doll, you know?
I would kind of like both. I already have a Creeper doll anyway. So.
They're little prizes. There's only one that I saw that I might want for the physical things they can send you, and it was a Nintendo 3DS case that was the size of all the other Nintendo 3DS cases, but it held 9 games instead of 1.
Nice.
Yeah. So that would be like a carrying case for a bunch of games that I can see like wanting, and I hope that stuff ends up in a physical store on the internet, a physical store, an actual store somewhere on their website rather than just with these fake Nintendo coins.
It's a possibility.
I would love that because their stuff is so cute, and they never I don't know. Around here, it's hard to find that kind of stuff. It's just too niche for the local aesthetic. I don't even know what to describe it, but it's bad.
That's another thing. Nintendo's very limited on who or what sells their products as well. When
they
it comes
like to keep
stuff
a
like
really
that.
tight control of this stuff.
They're kind of like the Apple of consoles.
A little bit, but
that's fair.
less innovative. More
Yeah.
I think they take every bad idea Apple's ever had and implement it. Maybe that's what's going on here. Apple crumbles up their bad ideas and throws them in the garbage can, and Nintendo rummages through it to try to find some kind of something they can make work. I don't know. Their technology, they have everything in that sense. If you compare Nintendo to Apple, you have almost the same kind of company that has a closed off hardware. Like, this is our hardware and these are our games, and this is just a whole separate universe. And that's kind of how Apple users feel. Like, here's our hardware, here's our software, this is the way we do things. So you PC people can go build your own PCs and have all the fun you want, but we're going to make a solid product that's, going to be super expensive, but it's going to work every time. And that's just kind of the Apple mentality. And Nintendo, I feel like, is the closest thing to Apple we have in gaming.
Yeah, that's true.
They don't cross-platform a whole lot. It's kind of, I think they're doing a little bit more these days, but back in the day, you wouldn't see a Call of Duty game on a Nintendo 64. Or was there?
Yeah, they're allowing games to be developed for their console. But when it comes to their content, their games, their exclusive games like Mario Brothers and Mario Kart and things like, you won't see that on a PC. You won't get a PC version of it. So
Exactly.
in that sense, they're not going to allow that out there.
Whatever happened to them making apps for iPhones and Android?
Yeah, I thought that was a big
I
announcement.
thought they were supposed to at least be making demos.
I thought they were finally starting to break out of their mold and start to cross-platform stuff some more. But now the only news I'm seeing, maybe this is just overshadowing it, is Nintendo tries to screw YouTubers and Nintendo's closing Club Nintendo and, all these negative things. And here's another problem I had. I actually thought of this earlier in the week. So Pikmin, you guys ever play Pikmin? Either of you? Heard of it?
I've heard of it, and I've seen it. I just never was interested.
I got it when I was younger at a GameCube, and I got it way after it already came out. I got the first game, played it a little bit, and it was one of those things I just kind of bought on a whim and never really got back into, like most of the games on my pile of shame. But I've since gotten rid of my GameCube, I've gotten rid of my Wii, and I rely on Nintendo to be like the backwards compatibility kings. So I never worry when I get rid of one of the older consoles, but now I'm kind of starting to see a problem because Pikmin 3 came out recently. My friend's telling me, Pikmin 3 is a lot of fun. You should pick it up. I'm like, I really want to replay Pikmin 1 and 2 because I never I barely played 1. And I realized that the only way I can play Pikmin 1, aside from getting it in emulator, is if I go and get a GameCube or a Wii, not a Wii U, a Wii, and then I can get the GameCube disc and play it that way. Because the Wii U is not compatible with GameCube like the Wii was. The Wii U is compatible with Wii, but not GameCube. And that kind of sucks because you know what? It's not in their marketplace either. And I think if you're going to have a digital marketplace, take a page out of Xbox or Sony's book. They closed off backwards compatibility and then went and resold their old games on the new system. Like I just bought Grand Theft Auto Vice City for PS2 on my PS3 because I don't have a PS2 to play it on anymore. And it was on sale. I'm like, oh, cool. You know, this is the kind of like thing I want Nintendo to start doing, and no one's stopping them. There's no copyright against the idea of selling old games on a new system. So I want Nintendo to start doing that, and it seemed like they were going to, and the reason I started looking was because of the announcement they were going to start selling Wii games on the Wii U in the marketplace. They added 3 games. 3 Wii games. One of them was Super Mario Galaxy 2, or Mario, I don't know if it's Super Mario or not, but either way. Not the first one, the second one, and then 2 other games I don't think I've really had any experience with. And that was it. Like, you're going to make a big announcement like that. Why wouldn't you have the store stocked up a little bit more?
Yeah, it's like they're just they're trying to just get that dollar.
Yeah.
They just want something.
Real quick,
they're throwing everything.
I want to get into this before it gets too late into the show. We have a pretty active chat tonight, twitch.tv/enoobs, and that means it is time to launch a segment that I'm going to stall to find the audio clip for because it's escaped me. Where'd it go?
So professional, bro.
I'm sorry. Here it is.
Let's hear from the Noob Nation.
All right, so for those of you joining us in Twitch chat, thank you. Sorry it seems like we're ignoring you. It's time to stop catering to just the audio listener and talk to you guys for a sec. So, a whole bunch of people in the comments right now. Let's see here. Darkwater says a few things. Club Nintendo is the same thing as GameStop Power-Up Rewards. This makes me worried about the future of GameStop rewards. That's a fair concern. Buy a game, get some free money to buy another game. I mean, if it's not working for them, I think GameStop's a little bit bigger, though.
They're a store, though.
Yeah.
And not a developer.
Now with GameStop, from what I understand, if you don't use those use those rewards in a certain length of time, they get reset, right?
Possibly. I have a
No, I think
reward.
you just get like badges for collecting so many in a short amount of time, but I think you still keep them if you don't spend them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I was going to say that I don't know if Nintendo did that or not, but I guess you just keep the coins for I think if you made 100 coins, you're going to keep those indefinitely until you spend them, right?
I would hope so, because you did spend the money.
Yeah.
So
That's
why
true.
not save it for a rainy day? That's the kind of rewards program I want to be a part of.
Yeah, always buy an umbrella.
Another one for Dark Waters is I'm upset about how little of an amount Nintendo products are coming out. For instance, Amiibos are running out very quickly, and so did the LAN and GameCube adapters for Smash Bros. Also fair. The Amiibo exclusivity, though, I could totally see the strategy behind that, trying to make them feel like you have to buy this as soon as it comes out because it's not going to be on the shelf forever. I think that's not a bad strategy on their part, especially when they're they're trying so hard to make more money.
I think it's really bad, though, because these are kids' products. You have to think about, like, this isn't just for adults. These are a lot of, like, 12-year-olds and, even down to, like, 5 or 6-year-olds. And now they're like, Mommy, I can't have one. I can't if I have to wait till Christmas.
Yeah. I think the whole idea of Skylanders and Amiibo is very obnoxious, but it's working. And I'd rather them, again, try to make money that way than some of the other ways they've been trying. Because it's a trend right now. Why not jump on that? Why not take advantage? I I got one amiibo, and it was just for fun. I didn't get it because I'm a collector. I got it for my girlfriend because I thought she'd have some fun with it, and we did. It was cool. And, yeah, I don't know if I'll keep buying them or not because they're just, kind of gimmicky to me. But for kids, I mean, great. If that's another way you can make money, I'm for that versus some of the other things we've talked about this evening. Let's see. Kyrick says, Kyrick agreed with Dark Waters. I don't like pre-ordering stuff, but I have to pre-order the amiibos because of the limited amounts on some of them. So Kyrick is kind of addicted to the amiibos, as he said earlier. He said, I'm sort of addicted to amiibos.
I wonder if he uses the amiibos or if he just likes to collect action figures and stuff. And these are obviously very limited, and they're very cute. So
yeah. According to Kyrick, the power-up rewards only go away if you stop the yearly $15 renewal, and Nintendo, every summer, the rewards reset.
Yeah, see, I had a feeling, because I got the power-up. I've got the power-up thing for GameStop, but I never went in there, never go in there, and I think one time I went in there for, I got the controller, and I says, do I have any like power-up rewards or something I can get, is there... And they go, oh, no, you got some now. And I know that I've bought stuff before and gotten power-up rewards, but there was nothing there, for me to spend or use. So, because they give you discounts and things on stuff if you got enough of them.
Yeah. That system is okay. And I wish Nintendo luck in whatever rewards program they try to implement next, because they actually said they want to do something in the future, but there's been no word on what that might be. I think if you have all those old games,
premium service,
you should absolutely stick to, old game downloads. The physical items must cost a lot. When you add in the fact you have to manufacture items you're not really selling for real money and then ship them out, I can see how that would make them, lose some money.
yeah.
So, thank you for hanging out with us in chat tonight. If you have any other comments, if you're someone who listens to the audio podcast, everythingnoob.com is probably the number one place to go to leave us comments, questions, things you want us to talk about. If you want us to mention you on the show, or if you want your voice on the show, you can also go there and leave a quick voicemail as well. Also, if you watch on YouTube, we're starting to check those comments more now. We've been trying to push the YouTube podcast as well a little bit more. So we're happy to include you in the show in that way. Just looking for more ways to include you in the show. So if you don't show up live, there's still other ways.
My friend!
We just want you to be our friend. We have no one to talk to. So there you go. We have less than 10 minutes in the show. I wanted to mention Super Bowl last night. I don't know if were you guys watching it?
No,
I was
not
working.
watching Super Bowl.
Neither of you saw the Super Bowl. None of us are football fans. I'll just point that out now. But even I watched the Super Bowl.
Look, I looked at the scores throughout the game only because intern pulled it up. He likes football, but he's not into pro sports. He likes the college league, but he keeps up with it a little bit. And so I was kind of aware of what was going on. But I just couldn't bring myself to care enough, not even to look at ads. But I really do kind of want to see that halftime show. I've heard it's like a hot mess.
Really?
A lot of people have been going back and forth. Some people said it sucked and some people loved it. There's this one shark, though, this guy in a shark costume that everyone keeps going back to. There's this choreographed scene where Katy Perry walks down the center, and it's supposed to be a beachy scene, so there's people in palm tree costumes, there's people in beach ball costumes, and then there's these two sharks that are kind of her background dancers at this moment. So these two sharks look like they're choreographed. They walk on stage, and one of them has all the dance moves. He's matching everything she says and his gestures, and the other one seems to have forgotten the dance moves and is just kind of waving his arms randomly. And there's just gifs of this guy, and he's like kind of hero.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I won't get into
I'm sure I can YouTube that.
Yeah, you can. I won't get into the technical sports things. A fight broke out at the very end of the game in the end zone. That was pretty crazy.
Really?
Yeah. The Seahawks were 2 yards away from winning, but I don't understand football enough to really say what the hell went wrong there. I guess they shouldn't have passed the ball. They should have ran it, and they didn't. And yeah, big loss. So a lot of Seahawks fans upset. What I wanted to talk about was the ads this year it was pointed out to me by another YouTuber I watch that the gaming ads are usually pretty cool, but this year it was just mobile games. And one of them was like, it looked like an ad for Taken 4. They had Liam Neeson basically doing an ad for Clash of Clans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they make tons and tons of money, and they cost like nothing to develop and publish.
Well, they have to pay their license. If it's Android, then it's like a one-time license.
Yeah, but that's
with
part of the
Apple,
publishing
they have to pay it
fee.
every year. It's like $99 a year for Apple.
Yeah, but I mean, if it costs $99 to keep it on the store when you're pulling in over 100,000 a day, like it's a drop in the well.
True, yeah.
The thing I just wanted to take the opportunity to say is Clash of Clans and all these other mobile games that you've been seeing TV ads for are not good games. They suck, and you shouldn't spend money on them. Just a quick PSA. Because of you spending money on them, we get to waste Liam Neeson's time. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
To Liam Neeson or his fans.
Please think of Liam Neeson.
Really, though, I just couldn't believe. I'm like, I thought the ad was it was one of the, if I had to pick one of the funnier ads, it wasn't even that. It was like, chuckle funny. But it was like, why? Why Clash of Clans? Why are people that obsessed with this?
It
It's
doesn't
just a
fit.
giant freemium game.
Yeah. Now, if it was a video game about somebody, trying to find, like Mario Brothers, trying to catch the princess, because she
I
was
saw
taken.
the Budweiser commercial.
The
Liam
puppy
Neeson
one?
dog.
and Taken.
Yes, it was like so
Budweiser-
weird.
Commercials, all they've tried to do now is make people cry instead of laugh.
No, but like last year, like it was like a relationship between a man and his horse, and now it's the same man and that same horse adopted a dog.
Oh my god.
Your sister was saying the same thing, and I didn't see that ad in that light. Like, I didn't see him as married to the horse until she pointed it out. I'm like, I don't know.
No, go back and watch that first ad. That relationship is not just like a farmer and his horse. It is a little too personal.
Wow.
And,
scary.
and yeah, everyone's saying the Nationwide commercial. There was a Nationwide commercial that was literally about dead children. Yeah.
What?
I'll never grow up because I died. Like, that kind of ad. Yeah. It was very uncomfortable.
Wow.
If you go back and watch the Super Bowl ads, I'm just going to tell you right now, if you find yourself about to do that, just don't. Just don't waste your time. There was really nothing worth seeing. The Fiat commercial that people keep pointing out was probably the most, like, racy one, I guess, in terms of car commercial. And it basically was insinuating that the new Fiat, the four-door Fiat, took Viagra, and that's why it has four doors.
Wow.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's about as much as you'll laugh out of watching every single Super Bowl ad.
It's now a family car
Yeah.
because it didn't wrap it up.
Because Viagra. So, there you go. I was just pissed off that there were no real gaming ads. It was just for fake, crappy freemium games that I'm really sad people are wasting their money on. It sucks that they're making that much money that they can afford a Super Bowl ad. And there was one that was like super long. I don't even remember if it was a gaming one or not, but there was one ad that lasted it was a Toyota ad, I think. And it only mentioned the car itself at the very end. It was like about being a father. It was a minute long. I'm like, Toyota wasted so much money on a minute spot for the Super Bowl, and they mentioned the car at the very end. It has nothing to do with the car.
That's car commercials all the time, though. Like, I never know it's a car commercial to the very end. And I'm like, what does that got to do with owning a car?
Yeah. The Bud Light Pac-Man commercial. I remember that. That was kind of like, meh. So, there you go. Gaming ads in the Super Bowl. Probably the only time I'll ever talk sports on the podcast. But
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Woo!
bring it up.
Sports and touchdowns.
Touchdowns and goal units. So, until next year, I guess. Thank you so much for joining us for the Everything Noob podcast. You can find us on iTunes and Stitcher and other places around the web, but those two primarily. If you leave us a review on iTunes, by the way, or Stitcher, or anywhere you can leave a review, those always go a really long way. So if you find yourself over there, please leave us a review to support the podcast. Very much appreciated. But yeah, with that, I think that is it. We'll have to go now. I'm sorry. But we will see you next week with another edition of the Everything Noob podcast.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Everything Noob podcast. Hit up everythingnoob.com for our show notes, blogs, YouTube and Twitch channels, previous episodes, and even a t-shirt store. Please game responsibly, and we'll see you next week.